So that Nintendo Direct, huh?
It woke me up. Not necessarily any notifications from Nintendo, but my other friends, their freaking group chat. I'm just trying to sleep, and they're just going wild. They're going, "Oh my god, guys, look at this, look at that," and I'm like, "What's going on?"
Yeah, it's a little funny because it was at like 9 o'clock in the morning, so it was very weird. And by the way, I didn't appreciate that it wasn't entirely in English because for those of us that have jobs and cannot look at the screen, I didn't know what the hell was going on. But luckily, most of it was in English.
Yeah, sometimes they'll just have it in Japanese with subtitles, which is fine.
Yeah.
I mean, normally whenever these things happen in the morning, god damn it, Nintendo, you know, I'll just wait until like lunch to watch it. That way I don't miss anything. Even though I did miss like the first quarter.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Honestly, maybe I should have done that, but I just really wanted to know all the info. We definitely have a lot to get into. Welcome everyone to another episode of Yeast Origin, by the way, real quick. I also wanted to just point out is that we can't pick up any of these gems because if you notice in the lower left corner, I have 999,999 of these gems.
9,999,999.
Thank you. What he said. So thanks to that, I can't pick up any more not until some upgrades pop up for at the statues that you save at. Will I actually be able to use them and make up some space? But for the time being, there's this weird experience now where you just don't pick them up. It makes me so mad. But yeah, we'll kind of go along with this. I think that we are pretty good for this area. I'm trying to kill these monsters, and if I remember correctly, I did actually grind a bit for this, so I think we should be all good.
Hey, grinding.
Zero, what are your overall thoughts? Switch to Direct.
My overall thoughts on the Switch 2 Direct is I finally understand why Nintendo took so god dang long to freaking announce it and show it off. Because from this Direct, we were able to see all the games that are going to be available for the Nintendo Switch 2 practically at launch or around launch. And it's quite ecstatic. And they're also doing something that I am kind of happy to see. They're launching the console during the summer. Well, at least close to the summer.
Right, as opposed to like the holiday season or something.
Exactly. Which, if I'm being 100% honest, is much smarter, because let's be honest, kids have way more time than we do as adults to play video games, and they're going to be on summer vacation, like either around that time or soon after that time. We're on the East Coast, so like our vacation usually starts mid to late June. These kids are going to have a brand spanking new system for the parents that can afford it. And they're going to have a crap ton of games to either finish on the Switch 2 from the original Switch, a bunch of GameCube games that they can now play on the Switch 2, which, by the way, holy hell, we got GameCube on the Switch 2. That made me super hyped, especially because it has Soul Calibur 2 in it.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting Soul Calibur 2, but you're right.
Yeah, and then, like, partway through the summer, we're getting even more games, like that Donkey Kong game you were talking about.
Oh, yeah.
So I think Nintendo's pulling interestingly smart moves. Hearing that the new Joy-Cons can indeed work more like mouses is going to actually make the Switch 2, in my opinion, one of the favored consoles for certain shooters, because a lot of people prefer using mouse for shooters. That's one thing I've heard throughout the years. So I wouldn't be surprised if some people who want to play shooters on the go will actually focus on the Switch instead.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's quite the interesting console. Nintendo's Nintendoing. I will say that Nintendo is once again Nintendoing, and I think they might have cracked the code once again when it comes to getting people hyped, getting people excited, getting people wanting the console.
Okay. Yeah. Is that all, or is there anything else like overall you?
Oh, dude, I can go on for hours on this. Because I was about to like whip it back to like the Xbox Series and the
Hmm.
freaking PS5 because they launched it in late 2020. You know, both of those consoles. And I'm here thinking to myself, they could have waited a year and had more games to show off and get people even more excited.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're seeing how that can actually affect, you know, a console and like the excitement of players. I will say this though, Nintendo is indeed Nintendoing, but in some weird ways too, and not necessarily positive. Have you heard of the prices of some of these games?
I sure have. I have been in many Discord threads today talking about
Yes.
going back and forth with friends about the prices for this. So yeah, definitely.
So for those who have not seen it yet, I mean, by the time this video goes up, it's going to be ancient news at this point. But Nintendo, for some physical games, especially the new Mario Kart World, they're charging $80 frickin' dollars
Oh yeah.
for a physical version.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sorry, I love Mario Kart. Mario Kart is a fun game. I still play Mario Kart 8 with friends and family till this day. Which, by the way, you and I should probably get back on that and talk about like the, you know, DLC levels.
We actually already did a showcase for that, remember?
Not all of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if Mario Kart is worth more than, because the new standard that they're pushing is 70, and I'm kind of okay with that. But to tell me that we have to pay 80 for a physical copy, like Nintendo, chill, like
Yeah.
chill.
I also saw some rumblings that some of these supposedly physical games are actually, they're just, I forget what the term for it is called, but they're basically just, you're buying a key. You're buying a box with a key in it. It's not actually like a physical cart. Which
Oh,
to
so
me,
then they can't actually charge 80 for that. No, no. I know what you're talking about because I've seen that for certain. I remember first seeing that for PS3 games where you would buy a physical case, but in it is just a code. And I remember thinking back then, wow, that's scummy. And I remember seeing it 2 or 3 times during the PS4 era. I haven't seen it in the PS5 era necessarily. But you can't tell me that that's no. I hope it's just rumor.
yeah, we gamers have to band together and push back on some of this pricing because, I mean, people have been making really great arguments that, like, I mean, like right now, Stellar Blade is on sale on PS5. You can get it for $50. Okay, it's not always on sale, right? But think about all the games that are out there that you can get for about 50, maybe 40, closer to like $60, and how good they look and how many features there are and stuff. And then you're paying $80 to play Mario Kart. I just, you know, I thought it was so funny watching the direct that they completely shied away from talking about any pricing. You know, what's one of the most important, hands down, things that you could mention about a console in its premiere, in its announcement video, but the price, you know? And they didn't do that. They didn't mention pricing for the games. They
Nope,
mentioned
not
that,
even the
hey,
console.
if you want the Switch 2 upgrades, if you already have the physical Switch 1 copies of some of these games, you have to buy that. But there wasn't a single dollar sign mentioned during the direct. And I just, in the back of my mind, while I was enjoying some of the games, while I was enjoying some of the features that they were showing off about this console, I couldn't help but think to myself, like, okay, something's not right here. And that definitely came out later when I realized that the console is $450. And if you want to get it bundled with a digital only copy of Mario Kart World, it's $500. And that $80 is kind of what they're shooting for these physical games. So it's just, it's
ridiculous.
it's a lot to take in.
Yeah, I was expecting $400. I'm not surprised that they're trying to milk the excitement of the Switch 2 and get a little bit more cash out of it.
Yeah.
But Nintendo, come on.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, People, it's still going to be successful. I know it's going to be successful. They have way too many games that they're getting on it. I mean, hell, Street Fighter 6. I would love to play Street Fighter 6 on the go, but not on that horrible button D-pad. I can't do that. So that's not happening for me, unfortunately. Also, I don't know, man. Again, Nintendo did a lot of things right. The release window is correct. Garnering a ridiculous amount of like launch games or launch timing games, games that launch around the time of the launch of the console itself. Announcing that you got GameCube games working on that damn thing, like it. Oof. Also, I don't know how true this is. I have a couple of friends that showed off screenshots of some GameCube games being released shortly after or during the launch of the Switch 2. And seeing Pokemon XD and Pokemon Coliseum as as games being available for that, like that makes me excited. Those are games I've always wanted to play. Soul Calibur 2 using Link, heck yeah, that's what's up. Again, they're doing a lot of good, but they're also Nintendoing in the weirdest way possible. And like, I already told you this, and I don't think it matters if I say it now, but I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it at launch. Let's not forget the issues that the original Switch had during launch, especially with those horrible joysticks that just died on people within like months.
Yeah.
Not to mention, what wasn't it that like some consoles like bricked or like expanded because like they overheated or something like that? If I remember correctly, I remember seeing pictures and videos of people saying, "Wow, look at the vents of my Switch, like they're deforming."
I actually don't know, because I didn't get a Switch for the longest time. Like, there are people that have had it. There are people that had it for years, and it wasn't until like way later that I had gotten one. But
I didn't get a Switch until 2021.
Yeah.
And that's, because of pricing and also like things happened. But yeah, so I'm of the mindset that let the people who really must have it get it first. They're gonna be the guinea pigs. They're gonna let us know how good the console is,
right,
how reliable it is, if it has any issues. And definitely I'll probably grab one within a year or after. Another thing that I like that Nintendo is doing, I forgot to mention this, and I remember PlayStation did something similar, which I'm glad that these console manufacturers are doing this. Buying the console will not be as easy as like pre-ordering it from their website in however many quantities you want. You actually have to have an active Nintendo Switch Online account, and you have to have at least 50 hours.
I just saw that. That's really smart.
That is so intelligent, and I want that sort of stuff for multiple things, especially like card games
and events.
Like let's not even freaking talk about like the Pokemon card game, because that's getting ridiculous. But the fact that it's going to be super hard to scalp a Switch 2 warms my heart. And once again, Nintendoing in the right way. I like seeing that. A lot of kids are going to be excited, graduating from a certain class. High school kids, middle school, freaking elementary, and then spending their summer with a new console with their friends and family. Man, that sounds like a fun time to me. And I wish I could be one of those kids experiencing it. Alas.
Yeah, I think that like, if there was going to be one game company that was going to usher in the new era of paying more for games, it was definitely going to be Nintendo. Because there's a reason they call it the Nintendo tax, They know that they can get away with doing stuff like this because they got the kid money, Like, parents are probably gonna more likely buy a Switch for their kids than they will a PlayStation or an Xbox, because, well, it's just more family friendly by appearance, by design. So,
Not to mention, a lot of those parents are us. we grew up with Nintendo. A lot of us grew up with Nintendo. The NES, Super Nintendo, freaking N64, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy, all those consoles we grew up with. And of course, we know, Nintendo games are usually quality.
That seal of
And
approval.
yeah, like Nintendo did it right back in the day, hooking us in from childhood because into adulthood. Not only will the parents get it for the kids, but let's be honest, a lot of those parents are getting it for themselves as well.
All right, let me just see real quick if okay, we don't really have a lot of. I got a new piece of armor, so now I'm basically gonna use the statue to strengthen the leggings. But we're like right back to having everything purchased, or at least most of it. So gonna go right back to not really having the ability to pick up those gems. Sorry, I just want to interject with that. This is still a playthrough of Yeast. Just want to let everyone know. But yeah, no, to Zero's to my point before, I think that as much fun as I had watching this direct, I think all of this pricing stuff really just pulled the rug out, because yes, while Nintendo has kind of had a lot of people from our generation from a really young age hooked on their products, I think that as I'm getting older, I'm getting a bit more skeptical about like, what do I have to give up for what's offered for me? And I just think about how Nintendo games are gonna cost $80.
Yeah.
It's kind of a big ass. I was worried about, and people are pointing this out online, that Grand Theft Auto 6 probably is now gonna cost $80 because of this. If they weren't already planning to do it, which I'm sure a lot of people were, Nintendo pretty much just gave them like, hey, here's your free pass because we're doing it. And it's not to say there's a lot of arguments that could be made in different one way or the other. I'm not trying to say that I don't think game developers deserve more money. I don't trust that the game industry at large, like more so the AAA game industry or quadruple A, whatever you want to call it, I don't trust that they're really taking that $80 because they need it. More so, I feel like we're probably gonna get pretty much the same quality, just now it's gonna cost more. Like, that's just what it is. Hey, enough time has passed, let's bump it up like 10 bucks and see if we could get away with it. And they try to do it like every couple of years for a little while now, and it kind of finally stuck with these recent console generations.
So as a wannabe, game developer, I've made a couple of fan games using RPG Maker and whatnot. Made some, well, failed to complete some, phone app games in like the early 2010s. I will say this: $60 became the norm for a lot of games, for most games, especially AAA. Around the 2000s, that's where like $60 became like the norm for like AAA games. Because before that, a game could cost anywhere between 20 to like 70. It depended on the game, depended on the console, depended on what it was printed on. If it was printed on a cartridge, it was going to be more expensive by default. Because paying for like actual like small PCB boards and chips, being slapped together inside of a plastic cartridge, it was going to be more expensive than a disc. One of my favorite games of all time on the PS1, Digimon World 3, which, by the way, go watch that video, everyone. That was a budget title that was $20 on launch. Like, a black label Digimon World 3 was $20. And that game had so much for it. But that just goes to show you, like, at some point, developers are just like, all right, look, we're putting in a lot of time, a lot of effort. Like, we need to make a living. So yeah, $60, people kind of just got used to it. It's fine. Inflation's a thing, no matter what. A little bit of inflation is good. A decade or two has passed. $70, fine, I get it. I wasn't really going to complain. especially with these like crazy AAA games like God of War, freaking Horizon, Spider-Man, like all these fantastical games that look just so good and play so well. Yeah, it's going to take more time and development, so I get it. But 80? That's a bit much.
I mean, just especially because, Mario Kart looks really good and stuff, and Nintendo, from the trailer, it seemed like they're putting in some cool features into this one. But at the end of the day, it's still just another new Mario Kart.
Yep.
I don't see the justification of why that game had to cost $20 more than $60. $20 more than what we all paid for Mario Kart 8, which also had like a lot of features too.
Let's also not forget we paid full price for a 2-generation old Mario Kart game.
That's true too, yeah. Yeah, you're right. So they owe us like back taxes. Nintendo should have half priced this, Like, come on, you've been getting away peddling the same Mario Kart game, and we've been buying it like a bunch of suckers.
Honestly, if they had said $70, I wouldn't have said a word.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have said a word.
Yeah, they got cheeky. They got really cheeky. They're like, look, we see the hype for the Switch 2. We're just going to jump to 80. And I mean, the crazy thing is they're even packing it in for $50. So that Nintendo, guys, let's be real here. Nintendo is not making this game at a loss. Nintendo is not going to be like, hey, Mario costs $60. Let's pack it in and sell it for $50. We're going to lose $10 on every copy. No, they're not going to do that. So what does that tell you? That tells you that not only is Mario not worth 80, sorry, Mario Kart World not worth 80, it's not worth 70, it's not even worth 60. That means bottom line, it's worth 50 or less. So when you think about it like that, it kind of just breaks the whole thing over your head. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, I get so stingy about stuff like this. And I'm just like, Nintendo's getting away ripping us off at least $30 plus on this Mario Kart game that I want. I'm not saying it's bad. I definitely want it based on the trailer. They did like a cool thing that looks like it's like you could basically play Outrun with it in a sense. I mean, I'm all for it, but yeah, just the price is really just, it's killing me.
Yeah, as physical game aficionados, I think that's a fair thing we can call ourselves.
Sure.
I wouldn't want to get the digital version. I would rather have it physical, be able to share it with friends and family. But if I had to be 100% honest, like if I were buying it, if I were pre-ordering it right now, I would pre-order the full 500.
Yeah, just to save the $30 on Mario Kart.
Just to save the $30 and use it for any other game that's on sale around that time. Because honestly, like the Nintendo,
and it puts guys like us in a really bad spot because again, we always want to go physical. You always want to get the physical copy of the game. So now Nintendo is basically like, all right, well, you want the physical 80, or you could get digital only for 50, and it's like, oh man. I definitely want it. I definitely want a bundle. I like the idea of a game bundle because that's been kind of built into me as a console gamer since, long ago. But you always got the physical copy of the game with the bundle.
You also understand like why Nintendo's doing that, right? Even though they lose $30, they guarantee another sale of the same game.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna leave it here because I don't know about you, Zero, but this is giving me final boss vibes.
Yes.
Apologies, it's been a long time since I've played East Origin all the way to the end, but I believe we've made it to the top of the tower now. Which, I mean, what happens when you get to the top of a tower in a video game? You have a final boss fight. So we want to thank you guys for tuning in, for checking us out. We hope you guys enjoyed our ramblings about the Switch 2 Direct, which at this point basically happened 2 weeks ago. But yeah, thank you guys so much for checking us out.
Let us know what you think about the Switch 2 announcement, the Switch 2 Direct. Are you okay with the hyper price increase? Are you pre-ordering it? Let us know. We'll talk to you in the comments.
That's right. And until next time, we will see you on the next possible final episode of our Ys Origin playthrough. Like, comment, subscribe, guys. We'll see you next time.
Take care.